Boy, do we have a show for you today. Not only did WWE drop season 2 of Unreal on Netflix, but we also have reports of Evil heading to WWE. New Japan Pro Wrestling has recently confirmed that Evil is no longer with New Japan Pro Wrestling, solely pertaining to the rumors that Evil is WWE bound. Of all people, of all wrestlers, Evil is WWE bound. The New Japan version of The Undertaker is WWE bound. Um, Very cool. We're just gonna have to wait and see how WWE uses Evil. That's all I'll say. Is he gonna be in MFTs? Is he gonna be in the Vision? That's the real question. Is he gonna, be with Shinsuke Nakamura for a feud? We'll find out. I definitely didn't have Evil going to WWE on my bingo card, but I'm sure they'll find a way to use him. And Japanese wrestlers have indeed succeeded on the main roster. Maybe he goes to NXT. Maybe they rebrand him over there in NXT. Similar, very similar to Evil, but I mean, hell, if I'm being honest, I want him to keep everything. I want him to keep the name Evil. I want him to keep the vibe he's had in New Japan. And I think if they do that, that'll be good. We also, again, like I mentioned before, were able to see WWE Unreal season 2 as it came out on Netflix. And honestly, guys, at this point, I've had several people that don't exactly watch wrestling tell me I like watching WWE Unreal more than I like watching WWE week to week. And I think I'm in that boat too these days, guys. We know Becky Lynch, we know Seth Rollins, but do we know Kobe Lopez and we know Rebecca Quinn? No. And this gives us an opportunity to see how good of a mother Rebecca Quinn is, how the energy of Colby Lopez, not just Seth Rollins, and his constant strive for excellence. Him and Becky really share that in their marriage. We see a lot of their marriage. We get to see a lot from Lyra Valkyria. We get to see a lot from Paul Heyman and just WWE's creative team. Just fantastic. I love this show. Like, I love Raw and SmackDown a lot. Don't get me wrong, right? We have this wrestling podcast and I love watching wrestling. But WWE Unreal is so freaking good that I enjoy watching that more. To be honest with you, I enjoy watching the creative team shoot the shit. In fact, it's quite comedic watching Triple H himself kind of do his thing in creative meetings. There's a genius to it, but it's very, having a beer with your uncle type thing, which is exactly how I imagined it. And now, as a fan who respects the ins and outs of wrestling and these athletes, WWE Unreal on Netflix gives us a real opportunity to grasp what is being created here and how it's being created. We don't have to imagine what a creative meeting is like anymore. We see it, right? We don't have to imagine how Triple H pitches a story or how he analyzes a pitch. We see it happen in the show, and I love it. It's partially hilarious because it sounds like a bunch of boys shooting the shit, right? Which might piss some people off, I guess, the lack of professionalism. But, while they do make mistakes, WWE creatively, they do also achieve great things, and they have been consistently achieving great things for the past couple of years. WWE Unreal is a must watch show. Even if you don't like wrestling, it's just a must watch show. It is the first reality TV show to show us the ins and outs of wrestling behind the scenes, right? And I really enjoyed watching, you know, it wasn't any other, oh, this is another creative meeting. A big part of season 2 of WWE Unreal was Seth Rollins' injury, right? And how they were able to successfully keep the fact that it was a work under wraps. That's good TV right there. You have Becky Lynch, Rebecca Quinn in tears and telling Triple H, I'm not doing this shit ever again. I got, Seth, Kobe Lopez's parents hitting me up asking about the injury. I have everyone asking me about the injury, and I have to lie to everyone. That's real TV. That's reality TV right there. That's good stuff. This was an incredible season of WWE Unreal. If I mean, if season 1 was good, then season 2 is great, honestly. I enjoyed the hell out of it, and I can't stop singing its praises. It really gives us some semblance of transparency. I'm not saying they don't play to their strengths. I'm not saying they don't them in terms of WWE. I'm not saying WWE doesn't absolutely keep things under the rug and not let them get out. They do. But WWE Unreal gives us some semblance of what actually happens. And it's cool to see, man. It's cool to see. I'm in the boat of, don't get me wrong, I'm gonna watch Raw and SmackDown, okay? Don't trip. But I'm in the boat that I enjoy watching WWE Unreal more than I enjoy watching the weekly shows at this point. It's that damn good. It's that entertaining. Go check it out. Okay. And alongside Evil, right, headed for WWE, confirmed to be leaving New Japan at this point. Will he be in WWE? We will find out. Okay. We will find out. We also just have a bunch of free agents going to different promotions, right? We have a follow up to last week's episode, if you will, in Trey Miguel, who was released by AEW for whatever reason when the Rascals were signed by AEW, and now he's back in TNA a week later. I had a bad feeling in my mouth about Trey Miguel being released from his AEW contract. I don't know what the situation was. I do want to make that very clear. But I'll tell you what, man, these people that post things online, that post leaks and all this stuff, they find things out pretty quickly. They give us pretty consistently solid information. And for there to be nothing on Trey Miguel, it can't help but yell petty shit to me. I'm not gonna lie. This seems petty as hell. What did Trey Miguel do to get released from his contract? What did he do that was so freaking bad that had Warner Bros. Discovery calling for his release over Tony Khan's head? We've never seen anyone go over Tony Khan's head. What happened? The fact that we cannot point to anything, again, petty bullshit to me. Okay. And I could be wrong. Let me make that very clear. I've seen stuff like this happen in the world of wrestling, right? I've been doing this for years, and this is weird. Nonetheless, no longer is he in AEW. He is in TNA. And when you talk about the Rascals, if anyone was to have a solo singles run in a place like TNA, it's Trey Miguel. Maybe things happen for a reason. I'm glad Trey Miguel is back in TNA. I hope he gets his hands back on the X Division Championship. And hell, if he gets over with the crowd a little bit more, I could see him totally being TNA World Champion, maybe as a heel. Okay, I'm talking somewhere down the line, maybe in 2027. This is a good pickup for TNA. I understand Trey Miguel's been in TNA for years. He left for a mere days, and now he's back as a single star. I have a good feeling about this. Whatever the hell happened with him in AEW really rubbed me the wrong way, and now he's back in TNA, which I appreciate. Another thing that TNA has done that's really cool is TNA has created Creative Commons for content creators. So every month, TNA will drop a video of their content, and they confirm before the video starts playing on YouTube, the content you are about to see is Creative Commons. Use it as how you will. Make an edit, make a reel, pump it out. Okay. Now, this is really interesting, and this is where I'm going to have a bit of a dialogue here, because when I started this journey years and years ago, it was very much editing matches, showing you reels of things that is happening, right? This was not a podcast. This was nostalgia clips that I was editing myself and putting out, and people were enjoying and getting a kick out of. A lot of people were doing it. A lot of people still do it. Here's the problem with that. These companies don't exactly enjoy when you use specific content and post it when it's their content. I understand that. The free use guidelines for editing one of WWE's matches and posting it as your own is very hard to understand. Some people get away with it, some people don't. And that's just what it is getting away with it. You can understand why I pivoted after a while. Okay, you can understand why I made a pivot. I made a pivot because what I was doing and what was working for me seemed to be on borrowed time. You look at the internet wrestling community now and you don't see as much match editing. You see some, right? You still see some, but it's not as much. And I miss doing that. Okay. The only reason I don't as much is because WWE loves to take my shit down. Okay. They love to take my shit down while leaving other people's up. I'm not going to bitch about it. Okay. I'm not going to sit here and complain about it. But I am going to look at TNA, who's putting out a Creative Commons abundance, stuff that I know I can edit and post to Instagram and YouTube and have a good time with it, stress free, without thinking TNA is going to take my content down. WWE is going to take my content down. This Creative Commons that TNA is going to be dropping monthly on their YouTube is something that I am looking to run with because I miss editing wrestling matches for you guys. I miss it. Right? WWE getting on my ass kind of stopped me from doing that. And this is really what I've always wanted to do, anyways, is have a week to week podcast where we can talk wrestling. I'm happy, no regrets, but this gives me an opportunity to visit an old form of content creation that I haven't really done in a while. I'm very excited, right? If you're a content creator or wish to be, go ahead and utilize TNA's Creative Commons. Very smart for TNA to do. I'm hoping AEW is next. If AEW is next with Creative Commons, oh boy, it's a wrap. Let me tell you, it's a wrap. Okay. One more piece of news here. Formerly known as Baron Corbin, Bishop Dyer wrestled a dark match before AEW Dynamite. Okay. Bishop Dyer, formerly known as Baron Corbin, made his All Elite Wrestling debut, not on AEW Dynamite, but on a dark match before Dynamite, which was very interesting. Very cool. Maybe Bishop Dyer is to be in Ring of Honor. Maybe Bishop Dyer is to start wrestling some matches for AEW. I don't know. I think, it's a solid pickup. We know that in the ring, he's impeccable, right? So in my mind, it's like, go ahead and get Bishop Dyer, formerly known as Baron Corbin, set up in Ring of Honor at the very least. These young guys getting reps in Ring of Honor, cutting their teeth, can have a ball with Bishop Dyer, right? And learn quite a few things from somebody who retired Kurt Angle at WrestleMania. Okay, I understand that Baron Corbin is not on the level of many wrestlers, but shit, man, he's been around for a while and he's been doing his thing. Not a crazy pickup for AEW, but a solid one nonetheless. One that can provide supplemental reps and give wisdom to the locker room full of younger guys over there in AEW. That's what I see Bishop Dyer giving to the table, to any wrestling promotion right now. Speaking of AEW Dynamite, the only piece of results that we had from last week was the street fight between the Death Riders and the Don Callis family, which was a solid match, plenty of crazy spots. It was the very end that teased us a little bit when Jon Moxley went up to Don Callis and said, "Hey, tell your boy you know where to find me." Your boy? What boy of Don Callis is Jon Moxley referring to? Are we going to get Mox versus Okada 2? Are we going to get Mox versus Kyle Fletcher 2? Or are we going to get Mox versus Takeshita 2? Honestly, I hope it's Kyle Fletcher. I would love to see Kyle Fletcher take the Continental Championship off of Jon Moxley. Okay? I don't think we need to see Mox versus Okada 2 just yet. And Mox versus Takeshita, we've seen that quite a bit, right? I think Takeshita goes ahead and feuds with Okada in the second half of this year, and that's what we slowly build to, right? And I think Fletcher takes the belt off of Moxley and is the new Continental Champion. I think that would be fantastic. All right, let's go ahead and get into the watch list here, and then we will do the top 20 champions of wrestling as we do so well. 3 shows for you on the watch list. Of course, one of them you're probably very excited for, but let's get to the first 2 before we get there. On Tuesday, we have NXT. Dark State is defending the NXT Tag Team Championship against OTM, against Out the Mud. Okay? OTM versus Dark State, NXT Tag Team Championship. It's about time we see Dark State defend these titles. Okay? It's been a minute. I'm not going to lie. NXT has let Dark State run a little stale here. And I don't know why NXT and the main roster does this, where a champion like Dominic Mysterio, champions like Dark State, who are having some of the best runs that could be of the whole company, just end up coming to a screeching halt momentum wise. And then their reign doesn't really mean shit, right? Dominic Mysterio had the IC title for most of 2025. Fantastic reign. Fantastic. One of the best in wrestling. What about the past 3 months? Nothing. Same thing with Dark State, right? They've been NXT Tag Team Champs for a big part of 2025. Fantastic momentum, defending the title, showing up to work. What about the past 3 months? Nothing. That's not cool, man. We see right through that shit. You got to keep them at some semblance, keeping their consistency. I understand you can't go 100% all the time. All right. I get that shit. But when these champions fall off the face of the planet, we can see that. Their championship loses credibility when that happens. Balance, okay? Balance. Don't let them drop off the face of the earth entirely. Have them show up every now and then, have a nice tag title match, okay? Maybe a singles match. Let's move on. Dark State's going to defend their belts at NXT on Tuesday. Okay, and then the very next night on Wednesday, we have AEW Dynamite, 3 humongous tag team matches. One of the ones we were supposed to see on Collision last week was flexed to Dynamite this week, okay, simply because they were unable to film Collision live due to the weather in Texas. So we're going to see Mark Briscoe versus El Clone for the TNT Championship on Dynamite this week, something we were supposed to see last week, and it'll be exciting, right? We also have 2 other humongous matches here. We have FTR defending the AEW World Tag Team Championship against Davis and Doyle. And then we have Chris Statlander defending the AEW Women's World Championship against Tekla. Huge 3 title match card for AEW Dynamite this week. Should be very fun. Okay, should be very freaking fun. Last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, to close out the watch list, Saturday morning, 11 p.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, the WWE Royal Rumble, the very first premium live event of the year, and one of the 4 majors, one of the big 4 the WWE puts on every year, the Royal Rumble. Not only do we have the men's Rumble match, and the women's Rumble match, but we have 2 humongous matches outside of that, man. We have Drew McIntyre taking on Sami Zayn, Drew McIntyre's first defense of the undisputed WWE Championship. And then we have AJ Styles versus Gunther, which will be AJ Styles' last match if he does not defeat Gunther. Very good chance that this will be the last time that AJ Styles wrestles, okay, at the Royal Rumble. So 2 big matches there, right? Undisputed WWE title match, and then the AJ Styles retirement match here. As for the men's and women's Royal Rumble, I know you guys want to hear my pick, so I'm going to tell you. For the women, I think it's got to be Liv Morgan, all right? I think Liv Morgan is set up to win this year, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see someone else take it, okay? Everybody's saying Liv is going to get the big Rumble win. I think it's very possible that we see a surprise win by a Roxanne Perez, by freaking someone else, Jordan Grace, okay? Chelsea Green. There's a lot of people that can get this women's Rumble match here. And if it does end up being Liv Morgan herself, it's well-deserved. As for the men's Royal Rumble, who should win? I'm hoping it's Braun Breaker. I would love to see Braun Breaker win the Royal Rumble and then go on to WrestleMania against CM Punk and defeat CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship. I'm thinking Braun Breaker. There might be a possibility, you never know, there might be a possibility that Seth Rollins sets up a program with Braun Breaker in this match, and it ends up being Seth Rollins versus Braun Breaker at WrestleMania. That's very possible. All right. But yeah, I think Braun Breaker is personally my pick. If not Braun Breaker, you can do Roman Reigns, right? He could win his second one. I don't really think you can do Cody Rhodes, simply because that would mean he'd be winning a 3rd Royal Rumble, which I think is something that he shouldn't do. Honestly, if anybody's to tie Stone Cold Steve Austin for the most Royal Rumbles won, it should be Randy Orton. Okay? Not Cody Rhodes. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. And you know it. Okay? Not even making an R-Truth reference there. Yeah. I think it's Braun Breaker, bro. If it's not Braun Breaker, it's Roman Reigns. But honestly, it should be Braun Breaker. It should be Braun Breaker. We'll see what happens, though. I wouldn't be mad at Seth Rollins returning to set up a program against Breaker. I would not be mad at that at all. At all. We'll see what happens, though. We'll see what happens, man. Maybe it's Jacob Fatu, and we get a triple threat between Drew, Fatu, and Cody. It could be a great many people. That's what's beautiful about the Royal Rumble. Which direction are they going? We get a better hint of that this Saturday. I guarantee you nobody thought Jey Uso was winning the Rumble last January. I did not think that, and I know you didn't think that. If you thought Jey Uso was winning the Rumble before he did last year, that's crazy. That's the thing about the Rumble, and I think that's what's going to be surprising about the Royal Rumble heading forward. I think it's going to be winners that surprise us, like a Jacob Fatu, okay? Like Roman Reigns, okay? Nobody really expects Roman Reigns to win the Rumble this year. I'm sure he'll have a big match at WrestleMania. But in terms of winning the Rumble, that can surprise us. All right, we'll see what happens. Let's get it. Let's move on. Let's get into the top 20 champions of wrestling. Okay, watch list has 3 shows on it. Had a lot of news, and now we are closing out the show with the top 20 champions as we do so well. Starting at number 20, we have X Division champion Leon Slater, who's been doing fantastic work for TNA. The future of wrestling, Leon Slater. All right. Number 19, we have Pagano and Psycho Clown, the AAA World Tag Team Champions. Defending the belts, showing up to work. Fantastic tag team. Fun luchadors individually and as a team. Been doing great work. And number 18 here is, in fact, another pair of tag team champions over at AAA. All Ego, Ethan Page, and Chelsea Green, the AAA mixed tag team champions, coming in at number 18. Also just doing fantastic work. Showing up to work, ready to wrestle, getting reps, lacing the boots. That's what we love to see. Number 17, Bandito, Ring of Honor World Champion. In 3 months, he'll be world champion for about a year now. He's been doing great. He has restored faith for Ring of Honor as their world champion. Number 16, FTR, AEW World Tag Team Champions. FTR makes their way back into the top 20 as they show up to work to defend the title against Davis and Doyle this Wednesday, as well as Chris Statlander at number 15, AEW Women's World Champion. And we're having an AEW party here. Number 14, Mark Briscoe, TNT Champion, somebody who AEW has consistently built up for over a year now and who's been showing up to work and just being himself and getting over. All right. Love it. Love it. Okay. Number 13, Athena, one of the most dominant champions in the world right now, the Ring of Honor Women's World Champion. Number 12, Ricochet. Again, showing up to work, okay? Doing great stuff with the AEW National Championship. Doing everything that Tony Khan said the AEW National Championship was going to do when it came, okay? And number 11, Red Velvet, who's, again, just showing up to Ring of Honor television and really crafting through matches a Ring of Honor Women's World Television Championship division, okay? She's spearheading this division. The women's mid card is safe under her. You also have Deonna Purrazzo, who's getting ready to start working with her Ring of Honor Women's Pure Championship. Hopefully, she'll make the list. Okay, that is 20 through 11. I want to reiterate that this list is based off of work rate. Okay, what is it based off of? Work rate. This is a list that includes several different metrics, all pertaining to how many times these athletes show up to work, how many times they defend the title in matches for us to enjoy. All right, let's get into the top 10 here. Starting off at number 10 in the top 20 champions of wrestling, we have Carmelo Hayes, the United States champion. All right, defending the title consistently every Friday night on SmackDown, making his matches mean something, and just running with an opportunity here. His first big opportunity on the main roster. I was a little worried about Carmelo Hayes. It looked like he was getting lost in the sauce, but here we are, man. United States champion, top 10 champion of wrestling in the world. Number 9, Stax, TNA International Champion. Again, here's an opportunity for Stax, who hasn't been doing much with the TNA International Championship, which has been good, but seems to have been running out of steam. Now it lives a new life on Stax, who is maximizing this opportunity to be a hated NXT superstar over there on TNA Impact. Awesome. Number 8, the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions, the Ichiban Sweet Boys, who have recently defended their title and who are doing solid. We're early on into their reign, but so far the metrics have them at number 8, and I'm happy to put them there. Number 7, Laney Luck, WWE ID Women's Champion. Yes, the WWE ID champions are on this list, and I'm happy to have them. Laney Luck here at number 7. Number 6, John Moxley, AEW Continental Champion, right? We didn't really see him winning the Continental Classic at the end of 2025 to then become Continental Champion. He did it anyways, and he looks to be facilitating a huge face turn. He's lacing up the boots, and he's wrestling and defending that Continental Championship on AEW programming. Good work, John Moxley. Okay, here we are in the top 5. Okay, if you're a WWE fan, you're going to enjoy this, and I respect it, all right? I respect it. Number 5, the Women's United States Champion, Julia. Fantastic work by Julia. Number 4, Women's Intercontinental Champion, Becky Lynch, who's doing iconic work with that title, man. Number 3, TNA World Champion Mike Santana, the most interesting thing to come out of TNA programming so far in 2026. Deserves this top 3 spot. You want to talk about deserving? Look at the number 2 spot in the top 20 champions of wrestling, as we have Rhea Ripley, and Io Sky, the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. These guys have been in a few different singles matches in the year 2025, last year, before they were slowly yet surely built to be a tag team, and then slowly yet surely built to eventually win the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship, which has been cooking like a piece of brisket on the smoker for the better half of 2025. I feel like this women's tag team title reign for Rio in WWE is, the fruits of our labor. And by our labor, I mean WWE Creative's labor, right? We have been seeing Rio as a tag team, as somewhat of an alliance for a minute now. We have seen these women's tag team titles in WWE mean something, right, around the waists of Charlotte and Alexa, and around the waists of the Kabuki Warriors. These titles have been great. These are the best women's titles in WWE, right? And this is a point where the women's IC title is good. The women's US title is not as good, but it's solid. We have a lot of good things happening in the women's division of WWE, and that crown jewel, right? That best thing that's happening is the women's tag team division, spearheaded by Rhea Ripley and Io Sky, and built up to this position well, right? This position has been built up to very well. Rio gets the number 2 spot, and the number 1 spot going into the Royal Rumble, undisputed WWE champion Drew McIntyre. Okay, getting ready to have his first defense against Sami Zayn. Very surprising championship reign that we have entered boldly, mind you, with Drew McIntyre having the undisputed WWE championship. And man, let me just say, I really hope Drew keeps this momentum going into WrestleMania. He freaking deserves it. I feel great about Drew McIntyre holding the title right now. He's the number 1 champion of wrestling, Drew McIntyre. Okay, that's all I got for you today, man. That's all I got. All right. Be good. Be happy. I'll see you next week. Peace out.